So welcome to another Clubs and Corks golf podcast. Luke Taylor, Ben Curtis. You're not going to do this shit.
Well, I could.
So we had a little bit of more audio difficulties than technical difficulties.
Why are you sweating?
I'm sweating, man. This brings me back to Jason Day.
Yeah.
This brings me back to Jason Day. And he was patient as Jason Day too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was.
He didn't have as nice as a background, but he's in a nice state.
Yeah, he's nice and warm.
So we have a gentleman that I've actually, in my previous life, I know, and he's doing some big things. And I'm going to be honest with you, I always thought he would do big things. Actually, a lot of the golfers that and tennis players, for the most part, we're going to do big things. So we got Ryan Jamison, head men's golf coach at Florida Atlantic. Fear the Owl.
Fear the Owl.
Fear the Owl. What's
I love
going
that,
on, man?
Right
you
there
can
in
be my hype
Abacoa,
man
right?
anytime.
Yeah.
How are you?
We're doing great.
So how's Florida?
Florida's great. I think it's been an interesting year, I think, for us all. But being in South Florida and having access to so many golf courses, I can think of a lot worse places to be during a pandemic, and golf was alive and well. And, I think, the game is really growing. So it's been a really good year, and it's been fun to kind of be around all of our guys. And we got a lot of international players who I think definitely preferred being over, in the States, being able to play and not being under lockdown as much. So we had a really good year.
Did you have any issues of getting these guys into the States with everything going on?
Yeah, we were a little bit nervous in the beginning because of, obviously getting over from Europe with the bands and stuff. But it came in just in the nick of time right before, I want to say it was like early August or, mid-August, right before they were set to come over, that they could basically start to come over. So, and a big part of it was the 2 weeks of quarantine and kind of knowing where they're going to do that. And a lot of these kids, being 2 weeks in a hotel and having to fit the bill for that, I think that was kind of a challenging time for a lot of them. And, when that got lifted and they could basically go into the dorms and kind of self-quarantine there, I think that helped us out a lot. But, it's just been a lot of juggling this year. And, I'm finally glad that I feel like next year is going to be a lot better. And hopefully a lot of this logistical stuff that we had to deal with this year will kind of be in the rear view mirror.
Wouldn't that have been funny if they had to quarantine in like North Dakota?
Oh,
be like, welcome to Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
Of Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that our guys signed up for North Dakota, but they signed up for the sunny weather of South Florida. So we're glad to be where we are.
Right.
Well, you mentioned, the tough, with what COVID has brought, but, I feel bad for the kids that just graduated last year. Right. And they're coming in and all of a sudden NCAA, granted an extra year of eligibility. Can you just tell our listeners, the difficulty of trying to create your roster, right? Because you didn't know if you had kids coming back or if they were going to leave or just not play next year because of everything. I know a couple coaches talked about how they, a couple classes like the 21s, 22s, they weren't really sure of where they wanted to go. If they wanted to let kids just kind of, hey, no, I think you should move on, or, we really got these young kids coming in we want to keep and we think they have a bright future. So just talk about the difficulty of that.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing that it's really hurt the incoming student athletes, the guys in the class of 2022, 2023, because basically what most teams are doing is they're kind of keeping their best players. A lot of those players are, going to stick around unless they decide, they're good enough to turn pro. So if those guys are sticking around and they're kind of, proven guys, then it's really just taking opportunities from kids that would be, coming in as recruited athletes. So that's been kind of the biggest thing and a very tough thing to kind of navigate as a coach, because, there's a lot of great golfers out there that, take time to develop. And that's part of our jobs as coaches, is to develop players. And I feel like, it's kind of turned a little bit more. I mean, we're still developing players, but it's kind of turned a little bit more to the players that we know that can come in and play well, because we've seen it over the last 3 years.
Right.
And so I really feel like it's kind of hurt our youth a little bit in the college game, of not being able to develop some talent that I think otherwise could, I'm sure they're going to end up developing anyway, but, it's just nice to have them on campus and be able to kind of walk them through everything that they need to do to get better. So it's been a very difficult year for sure. And I think, I think in a few years, it'll definitely make every coach a little bit better. Cause I think they'll start to value a little bit of the development of kind of the underclassmen. We've had the last couple of years, I think we've had the number 2 freshman output in the country. So, it's definitely something that we value. And I think that it really helps our team to be sustainable for years to come, with having young guys that have come in and been able to kind of progress and get better every year.
Nice.
So who's the coach you hate the most?
The coach I hate the most. Wow.
Who do you want to be?
I don't know.
I can tell you mine from when I was coaching the tennis team at DePaul. Hands down, Rex Akarma, Louisville.
Yeah, no, I don't really know that I have a bad, bad
Don't lie to
story
me.
about a coach.
I know you. I've known you for a long time. Be honest.
I mean, I think there's always like people that you like, you have like rivalries with. I think when I was coaching D2 golf, like I would always it seemed like us and Barry. So there's this coach, Jimmy Stobbs at Barry, who's a great guy, but, we just had rivalries because we were kind of in the national championships, or, playing each other in the national championship for a year. We played each other in the semifinals. And then the year after that, we were able to get by them and win it all. So I think just more than anything, sometimes I feel like you hate people that, they beat you, so it makes you stronger. It makes you want to kind of figure out how you can get a little bit better the next year. But I don't know that it's really as much of a hate as it is a respect. And, he just made me a better coach.
Who was the player you hated the most on tour?
Hated on tour?
Yeah. Like
all of them that beat me. No.
So you never had like Brooks Koepka's Bryson DeChambeau now? Like no one like that?
No.
Did anybody like Tiger? I mean, he beat everybody.
Well, I mean, anybody like him?
Yeah, because
of course, everybody liked him because the amount of money you were playing.
Yeah,
for.
well, that's true.
True. Yeah, I mean, obviously, him and Phil at one point were butting heads, and same with VJ. But it's just human nature. I think, as Ryan pointed out, it's like when you're getting beat or challenged by somebody, it pushes you even harder. And I think that rivalry kind of molds itself. It may not have anything to do personally. It just happens to do with the game itself. So, I mean, I've seen where, Phil or Tiger and VJ, for one, I mean, there for a while, they were butting heads, right? But then you would see them on the range joking or in the locker room, just, shooting the shit kind of. And, and it, but that's golf. I mean, it kind of the media probably makes it worse than it actually is.
Yeah. And very interesting to see kind of what the Bryson and the Brooks feud now. I think that's just an interesting thing to kind of chat about, and, just with that, with the social media money now too. I think it's just, they're kind of trying to stir it up a little bit. And I think it's going to make for some interesting golf, I think, down the line.
Well, they're just polar opposites in personality, right? I mean, Brooks is kind of like the sports dude, just all American sports guy, right? He just wants to go play golf, right? And then Bryson wants to outsmart everybody in that regard. So they're just personalities are just totally different. And they probably behind closed doors they could be laughing in the locker room to say, we got everybody fooled here. This is
you could definitely see that.
I'm just waiting for my case of Michelob Ultra.
Right.
I'll heckle his ass and get kicked out of Detroit if I get a free case. Does that include my case too? No, not yet. We're going up to, I think, the Rocket Mortgage, me and my boys. So that's 3 cases, and technically if we all get kicked out.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it? So, JMO, biggest regret in life other than you leaving a year early from Stanford when they won the national championship?
Wow, that's That's definitely right up there.
I'm just joking.
Regret. Yeah. Yeah. You just
Do you ever
really
kick-
go right.
Do you ever
right,
kick?
shoot
Well,
from the
you
hip.
know me well enough. Do you ever kick yourself thinking like, man, I should have waited another year?
No, I think everything in life, like I feel like everything in life for me has kind of just been an unfoldment. It's like, I don't really necessarily think that, like I go through life thinking, okay, in 2 years or 3 years, I'm going to do this. And 5 years, I'm going to do this. It's just really just, I think it's just really about working hard and trying to learn as much as possible. And I just felt like, that was kind of the right time. And,
Right.
Obviously, I would love to have been part of the national championship team. And, I'm really definitely really proud of those guys that were able to kind of bring that home. And, but I also know that, getting to the Division I level as a head coach, and having an opportunity to build a team that was 200th in the country when I took it over. And we moved up, I think, to around 85 this year. So,
Wow.
115 spots in a couple of years. So I think, that's obviously been, obviously it's not a national championship, but I think stories like this aren't often talked about as much. And, hopefully we can continue to grow and get better and things like that. But, just being able to make something better and play an impact in young golfers' lives is fun for me.
Yeah. And you kind of put Kent State on the map.
Well, I mean,
You catapulted kind of like what he's doing.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
Well, I'll be honest, it was already there. It just, obviously it just took one or two players to make that next jump, right? As you know.
One named Ben Curtis.
Well, yeah, but there were some good players. And David Moreland played on tour before. Rob Moss, who, won on the Corn Ferry Tour, won in Asia, had success as a pro. It was just, it was already, the foundation was there, right? It was just they were winning the MAC pretty consistently. They were going to regionals, they were going to finals before I got there. And and it was, obviously my career, I mean, I didn't do anything that much different than anybody else before me. It's just, is what I did afterwards, right? And then John Mills, same thing, he was the first team All-American, at Kent State history. And so I think, did it help raise the bar? Yes, maybe, but it just carried on what was set before me and things like that. And as you know, a lot of these kids, they look up to those players, right? I remember looking up to Wakeling and Todd Lancaster, who I played with, and Brian Bridges, who won the Ben Hogan Award while he was there. I grew up, knowing what these guys accomplished and wanted to, and it actually pushed me, and I think those kids, I don't know if you see that, but they see who comes before them, or like I try to tell my son, like their high school, they're decent, I've had some success in the past, but I'm like, well, you can be the one to turn it around, right? You could be the one that sets the standard a little bit greater. And, what do you see that with your kids too?
Yeah. I mean, I think oftentimes it's just like kind of this, we like to put people, I don't know necessarily that we're putting them on pedestals, but we look up to people and we respect people's game, right? And I think it's a very interesting kind of dynamic in college sports and in college golf in specific, because, like obviously, like when as a coach, you see your players as having the ability to kind of get to that level or maybe even surpass that level, but they also kind of see people up here as like elevated. And, it's just an interesting dynamic. And, I guess it just comes with results, right? Like having the confidence to be able to kind of improve and get better. But, I think it really comes down to the thing that I try to impress upon our guys is just, it really comes down to your commitments, what you do on a daily basis that ultimately puts you in a position to be able to catch some of those guys. Because I guarantee you, when you showed up at Kent State, you were around some players that probably had some pretty good work ethics, and you were able to grow quickly. And I think it's really important to surround yourself with good people and people that believe in you. And I think that's a great way to really get better fast. And that's why I enjoyed my time at Stanford, because I was around the number one amateur in the world, and 3 Walker Cuppers, and I got to really see how
that's okay.
yeah
Whatever.
but you got to see how they went about their business, and not all this the same way, but to each is their own. But I think they really work hard, and they're they really believe in what they can do, and they believe in their process. And it's just really nice to see some of their games come to fruition.
Yeah, you're also around Tiger Woods and Tom Watson too, right? I mean, that kind of helps, doesn't it? I mean, did that help at Stanford, having a guy like Tom Watson and Tiger Woods and many others?
Well, I mean, I think to look up to for sure. It's kind of the nostalgia of being a part of Stanford men's golf. I don't know that they were around a ton, but but I definitely think the history of the program at Stanford was very motivating, because you just wanted to keep on progressing and keep on getting better, and seeing what you can kind of tackle in terms of some of these, the record book type, achievements.
Yeah. Do you ever find like every junior golfer wants to go pro? Like, I know when I was coaching at DePaul a long time ago, we were a little bit different. I mean, we had Michael Fessler on the team. Who's your Michael Fessler, right? This guy's crazy. Yeah. His parents like lost him in Italy for like 5 hours on the trip. Yeah, it's just, he's different. Great guy. Gave me a bread basket for my wedding with like $10, and I don't know. He's a great dude, really good dude. But do you see that? Like, do you have to kind of tame expectations?
Yeah, I mean, that's always something that I've very much struggled with, because I feel like, part of a job of a coach is to kind of be realistic with your team. But I also think, I never want to be the guy that like kind of like kills somebody's dreams, like I think if they really want it bad enough, like they can.
Killing my dreams. Yeah. He's killing my dreams. I just want to dance.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I just think it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to navigate, right? Because, you have to, at the same time, you have to believe in the guys that you have on your team. But also, you need to be realistic with where they're at. I've always heard that, the difference between where you are and where you think you are is where the pain lives. So I think that's just something that's kind of stuck with me a little bit. It's just trying to be realistic with where you are. And once you know where you are, then you should be able to formulate a plan to continue to get better.
Yeah. So obviously, very successful. How'd you get into golf? Did you play college golf growing up, and were you around it?
Yeah, I played.
I know you were at DePaul with this guy, but just for our listeners more so than
I was a brotherly, fatherly figure to a lot of the golfers and tennis players, because I was their coach.
I feel bad for all you guys.
We had fun, dude. Uncle Luke. Uncle Luke to Miami was like Uncle Luke to DePaul. Just saying, Bar Chicago.
Yeah, we had.
He's smiling. He's smiling. See, they used to call him JT, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah,
they did.
Those days are long gone. Long gone. So I used to go. So my parents split up when I was 2 years old, and I would go spend summers with my father in Charlotte, and him and my grandfather would go out and play golf, and they would come back like 5 hours later, and I was just kind of hanging at home. And I'm like, what are you doing for 5 hours? I'm like, so I would basically beg my dad to take me out to the golf course. And I think the first time I went out and played, I played baseball. I played every sport that you could imagine. I just went out there and I must have did really well. And they were like, oh, we got to start getting them some clubs and stuff like that. So it kind of just took off from there. And then I kind of got sidetracked for like 3 or 4 years, because I feel like I was playing other sports, playing football, soccer, basketball. I played roller hockey. I played a lot of sports. So I didn't really take it serious until high school, and just really caught the golf bug in high school. And I would spend 12 hours on the golf course a day. It seemed like from sun up to sundown. Yeah. And that's just how I got pretty good at the game. And I wish I would have practiced and played a little bit more in college, for sure. I think I had fun in Chicago. Let's just say that.
Hanging out with Luke too much. Yeah.
Hanging out with
but me. It was a good time.
I was a role model. They had a lot of fun, though. I know that much. I heard stories. I wasn't there because I was a coach, I was there for some. Well, they actually invited themselves to my parties. when I was out and
So
about.
you broke every NCAA rule.
No, I never said that. Never said that. I mean, I got every recruit I recruited, and I got some players. He knows that.
Yeah.
I got the number 1 player in Australia. Got the number 1 or 2 in Canada.
You told him the weather was perfect all year round.
No, I mean,
right?
listen, they had a very.
It's just like he can. He's telling the
85
truth.
and sunny, baby.
Ryan's telling the truth. It's 80 all year round, and you're got the beach 3 miles away or whatever.
I can sell ice to Eskimos.
Yeah.
Sorry, Inuit.
Did he last 4 years or what?
He did.
Okay.
He graduated. All the tennis players graduate. I don't know about golfers. Tennis players graduate.
Well, I mean, did he transfer?
No, he actually transferred from Tennessee to us. They were number 3 in the nation. Yeah, just saying. I have role model citizens at DePaul University. I'm going to tell you a funny story about his coach. So Betty Kaufman played on the LPGA tour, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, very good player. Her office was like, 3 or 4 offices from me. I'll never forget. She's like, hey, if you ever want to come to our tournament, she's like, you could have one of the hotel rooms and I'll just make sure all the guys, double up. So I'm thinking to myself, she offered me a hotel room to come to this tournament, your tournament you guys would hold every year. I think it was at Ruffled Feathers. Yeah. And it was, I think, a Monday, Tuesday, And I'm thinking, all right, so now she's going to have 3 players in one room. Then she's going to put another 3 in the same room. I'm like, no, I'll just drive home, Betty. But Betty was awesome.
Yeah, she would do anything. She was definitely a very social person and loved the camaraderie of DePaul athletics and loved them for sure. So she was definitely
Coach Bruno, baby.
Yeah,
our women's basketball coach was our women's basketball. He's not retired yet, so I can't say some stories. But I mean, the people that were at DePaul, it's probably like Kent State too. It was such a great. I mean, I met my wife because of DePaul and stuff like that. And it was such a great, and you're also in Lincoln Park. We're actually going to Chicago this weekend, Melissa and I, but it's just, what was the best advice Betty ever gave you?
Wow.
Before
I just
liquor?
think never
sicker.
Yeah. I just really think that she really just motivated me. I don't know that she necessarily gave me like a piece of advice that would stick out, but, just continue to work hard. And, I think that's really just kind of stuck with me through the process of being around her. It's just like, we would kind of get out of sorts sometimes where we would kind of lose track of focus, stuff like that. And she would kind of keep us on the straight and narrow.
Ray's place.
So
Ray's place in Kent.
Kent.
Problem is Chicago is much bigger than Kent.
Yeah. By about 20 million people.
Yeah, we should have Luke Donald because Luke Donald was one of your nemesis or kind of rivals.
He beat me every week.
At Northwestern. Yeah. I mean, but Evanston was a little bit. They're a little bit foo up there. They don't come down to the real part of Chicago. What's the best advice? So you're at Stanford for a couple years. What was the best advice Conrad Ray ever gave you?
Wow, you're really put me on the spot with some of these questions.
What do you think this is? What do you think this is fluffy? Oh, wow. Yeah. See, rainbows and butterflies and lollipops. It'd be half the size.
I just think with the guys and gals that I've worked for, I think with Conrad, it's more so like what I learned from kind of being around them. And I think being around Conrad, like I learned the value of hard work. I feel like I didn't know what hard work really was until I got to Stanford. And then you also got to see kind of, the development side and the social side and everything that goes into it. So I think really what I learned from Conrad was just how to take it kind of to another gear. I think that's really helped me in my coaching career is because, when I was in the Division II game, we had great players. That obviously pushed me, but getting to the level of Stanford and working under one of the most historical programs in college golf, and then also having, the number 1 amateur in the world and having some other guys on the team that, are realistically probably going to play pro golf, like that mindset, you had to bring it every day. And, there wasn't really any off days. And so, I just learned to be prepared and show up and be ready to work and just take it to another level. I mean, whether, on your off days, you're going to recruit. You're going to go find the next golfer, right? And so there was always something to be done. And I definitely feel like at times, like I felt like a little bit, I definitely felt a little bit fatigued and things like that, just from, the amount of work that we put in. But I wouldn't trade the experience for anything in the world, because I just really feel like from Conrad, I really learned to take it to another level.
Yeah, but let's be honest, when you're the assistant coach,
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's less pay and a lot of work.
Yeah.
I was never the assistant, but I know what I can only imagine. I didn't have an assistant, but I can only imagine what it's like.
Yeah. And so one of the things that he loved to do is that he would want me to respond to every single email that ever came into my inbox from recruits. And you can imagine being at Stanford, like how popular the golf team is at Stanford. So no matter who the kid is, we're responding back, with at least, hey, sorry, but we don't have any spots, but, kind of the thanks, but no thanks, he would call it. But I think, it's just about those relationships. And I think it was definitely a lot of work. So,
we should test it. I'm going to send an email to the assistant at Stanford. Say I'm a 45-year-old, 8 handicap. I got a year of eligibility. I'm interested.
I think they won't answer that email.
We should know, but he said he had to answer every email.
Yeah, well,
technically,
I think that was probably from legitimate recruits, not.
Yeah. Well, we had gotten emails before that, like with kids that, they send you emails and they're like, well, I'm 98% from the free throw line my senior year. And, I started 16 games and I'm averaging 10 points. And we're like, you realize this is a golf team.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
I'll send a headshot too.
So now you made that transition to South, you went from one side of the country to the next. Has recruiting changed for you, or is it, is it the same? Are you looking, obviously at Stanford, you can get, you can go after anybody, right? But has that slowed you down, or are you being realistic? And how's that? I know recruiting's everything, right? You get the better the players, the better your team's going to be. But has it changed at all? Obviously you're in a great location, you can play all year round. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think at Stanford, you're definitely, we would always say that, like, instead of kind of fishing with a net, you're kind of fishing with like a bow and arrow or like a spear, like, the guy that you want and you just go after and get him, and I think at Florida Atlantic, it's kind of a little bit more of like kind of casting a net. But I definitely think that what's made, me successful in the past with the Division II program, being in South Florida as well, was kind of the international squads. I don't think we're ever going to go against Florida and Florida State or, some of the bigger programs in Florida for a player. So kind of my mindset has been, let's get the team up to a higher national ranking first, and then we can kind of dive in a little bit with some of those guys. But the way I think that we've done it is getting international players in Europe, getting international players from Latin America, getting the best players from those countries. They love South Florida. One of the things that I use a lot is I say, the reason why 7 out of the top 10 players in the world all live within 30 miles of us. So I think that one really helps us. And we are the southernmost Division I university in the United States. Well, I guess Hawaii is, but we won't count them. But as far as the continental, we're southernmost. So and 41 different golf courses in Boca Raton, by the way. So we got a lot going for us.
Nice.
That's it, huh? 41.
Yeah, I think there's 41 facilities too. So I think some of them have 2 or 3 courses. So there might be more.
So who's the one person that doesn't live in your neighborhood?
The one person doesn't live in my neighborhood.
The top 8. You said 7 of the top 8 players live within.
Well, I'm not saying in my neighborhood, but within 30 miles. A lot of them live in Jupiter and West Palm Beach, and you got JT, you got Rory, you got Tiger wasn't a top 10, I guess. I'm sure he'll be back though. DJ, Fowler was hot for a while. I mean, there's a lot of guys that, without looking at my list, there's a lot of guys that live in the area, and
he has a list.
He has a list.
That's pretty
Well, I
impressive.
mean,
I can pull it up right now if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Well, Brooks Koepka.
Brooks Koepka.
Brooks Koepka, yeah.
Nicholas,
there you go.
Jack Nicholas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's down there.
Yeah.
Nick Price.
Yeah.
I could go on forever because we used to live in Admiral's Cove down there for a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we're
Nice
not too
area.
far. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Let's just take a quick break.
He's going to do his speech.
Yeah, I'm going to do. This is where my broadcasting comes in. The miracle of wine captured in a special time and place finds its essence in the Mira Cabernet Sauvignon Schweitzer vineyard. Even before Jim Bear Dyke and Gustavo E. Gonzalez founded Mira, they dreamt of making a definitive Napa Valley Cabernet from this premier Grand Cru vineyard, first planted in 1885 in the heart of the Stags Leap District. The Schweitzer family devotes incredible care in their stewardship of the land and the fruit it yields, making them ideal partners in Mira's quest for pure expressions of vineyard and varietal. The Mira's Cabernet Sauvignon Schweitzer vineyard, pour yourself a miracle. How competitive is Michael Jordan?
Oh my God, Michael Jordan is like he's the best. I don't think there ever will be anybody as competitive as him. I think Tiger's right there with him, but I just appreciate the mindset that he was able to keep throughout his career. I mean, I think he had help from some great players or some great mental coaches in George Mumford, his trainer Tim Grover. Those guys, like I really look up to some of those guys too as well, because I think that those guys have also worked with guys like Kobe, Dwayne Wade, and I just think that mindset that he was able to have, and kind of just that assassin's mentality on the basketball court. I think he's the greatest. I really do believe he's the greatest. And my favorite quote of all time is the quote about I missed over 9,000 shots in my career. 26 times I've been trusted to hit the game-winning shot and failed. And he's like, I failed over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. And I think that's like, that's kind of the way I look at things. Like if you fail and you just gotta kind of dust it off and keep working at it. And I just think that his ability to kind of just fight back and hit some of the biggest shots in NBA Finals histories, when it mattered, that's why he's the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, that quote speaks volumes too, like especially in golf, right? I mean, every time you tee it up, I mean, the chances of you winning, especially on the tour, right? For example, 156 guys have a chance to win. There's only one guy walking away really happy at the end of the week, right? So I mean,
That's true.
Or so you fail way
Kisner,
more than you win, right?
Kevin Kisner said he's happy with getting 20th with the check.
Well, hey, you're happy. You see the progression. You might see, you're happy
Right.
with it. But I mean, ultimately, the guys like him, Michael Jordan, Tiger, I mean, they want to be the best, right? They want to be number one. I was a little bit like Kisner. I was happy. Hey, I played well, but I can't. If Ryan goes out and plays better than me, I can't influence that. But but a lot of these kids, they think they got to win every time, and it's like, no, you got to. It's a progression. It's going through your process. Did you do everything that you needed to do to succeed? And if you did, then you shake the opponent's hand and said, hey, well done, and you move on to the next week.
Or what Michael Jordan does, he just gets a faster golf cart. I've heard stories about this golf cart.
Or build your own golf course.
No, ask him. Doesn't he? His golf cart is personalized, isn't it?
Well, I know for fact the one he has at Shadow Creek in Vegas goes probably close to 45 or 50. I mean, this thing, it's Tar Heel blue, Carolina blue. It's got probably a sound system that you can hear from like 5 holes over. And I've heard that he has, some, it's not foursomes with Michael Jordan. Let's put it that way. It's more like tensomes, and, they have a fun time and they play fast. And I think they still probably play in 3 hours, but
really,
it's just a fun group to be a part of. They just hit and go. There's no like golf, golf etiquette, I don't think. I mean, there's just trash talking the entire time. And, you know, it's like, if you're not tough enough to hang with that group, you probably shouldn't be in that group. So.
Who's in that? Who are some of the people in that group?
I don't know. I think some of the guys that are in that group are probably just some of his friends, and then, you know, probably some professional athletes that like to gamble. I don't really know who rolls with him, but I know he likes to play with other. I know he likes to play with other guys on the PGA Tour. I don't know. I mean, I know he's at Medalist, and now he's got his course Grove 23, who I know. You know, some of the players from South Florida come out there and frequent that place too as well. So I'm sure he's loving life and probably playing 36 holes a day. So
in under 3 hours.
Yeah. He's probably playing 54 holes a day, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Suppose he isn't his engine like a Ferrari or something like that in his golf cart?
I don't know about that, but that would be impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. He's competitive. I mean, Ronnie was saying about, he just makes it so uncomfortable. Yeah. Like he'll just start just because a previous guest is really good friends with Ron Harper, who obviously Michael played with for years. And I don't know if he's ever played with Jordan, but he's heard stories about how he just makes it so uncomfortable, and not more in a competitive way, that it just puts so much pressure on him. He's like, all right, well, we paid for 1,000, let's play for 1,000,000. And you know, he can do it.
I think I heard somebody say something like when they were negotiating like for the game on the first tee, and they're like, hey, what do you want to play for? And Jordan looks right back at him. And he's like, well, what makes you uncomfortable? So that was basically the question to find people to play for.
So you did what, 2 years, a couple years of golf operations for the Jordan Celebrity Invitational and the Noah Begay.
Yep. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of cool stories there. You know, a few that I don't really remember too much, but I do remember. I do remember some fun times. And you know, being in Vegas, you know, there's not a lot going on. So
I was gonna say, how'd you get hooked up with those two, or especially?
Yeah,
with Michael?
so
I know.
Well,
no,
I didn't get
he's
hooked
a
up
Stanford
with him.
guy, but
yeah, I got hooked up with so my old boss when I started my coaching career was the head coach. When I just started coaching, I was assistant at Nova Southeastern in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and my boss Kevin Marsh worked for this company JPSE Entertainment, and they were the ones that ran the event from a golf hospitality standpoint. So, you know, they were pretty much in charge of the whole kit and caboodle. So they put all the people in place from scoring to, you know, everything. So, you know, we were in the golf operations side of things. So you know, I got to write bios for some of the celebrities and things like that, you know, were to be read off on the first and 10th tee. So I had kind of a number of just random jobs, but the cool thing was just being around all the celebrities and kind of seeing how they are when they're, you know, the spotlight's not on them. So that was really cool for me. I remember hanging out with what's the guy from Entourage, the actor, not the main character, the brother,
Johnny Chase. No, Johnny Drama.
Johnny Drama. Yeah,
Dylan. He's Matt Dillon's brother.
Kevin Dillon. Right?
Kevin Dillon.
Yeah. I remember hanging out with him one night, which was pretty fun. Guys were just really cool, and you know, I'm definitely one of those guys that is starstruck. You know, when you're around some of these people that you've watched on TV or, you know, play golf or all that stuff. It's really cool for me.
It was such a good experience. Doesn't even remember who it is.
Took him a minute. It was too much drinking.
I know, probably.
Yeah.
That was in his previous life. So Ryan, we're gonna end it here. But we're gonna keep you on for a couple more minutes. We've got a couple. We're gonna do a little back nine section. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck this upcoming year.
Good luck in the recruiting season. I know it's just beginning now.
Yeah, it'll be nice and hot. And you know, Ben thinks I guess I don't know, man. You know, it's usually the closing. I'm a good closer, but thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, share, whatever you want to do. Thumbs up on. Yeah, you like when he's thumbs up. Yeah,
thumbs up.
Yeah. Phil Arnold call him a thumbs up, whatever. And we'll be back next week on the Clubs and Corks Golf Podcast.